Okay, guys, we need new ideas for the next Zootopia movie. What do we have? New animals? We add reptiles. Referencing the abortion comic? Guys, I have a great idea. Why don't we, you're gonna love this, have a twist villain? That's genius. That's a great idea. We've literally never done this before. We're gonna make $1 billion anyway. Let's do it! So, I watched Zootopia 2. It was good, but I have kind of mixed feelings all around because the plot is very cluttered, and it's based on writing decisions that prioritize fast pace, lots of characters and areas, and lots of quick timing jokes, but it sacrifices really developing the characters they do introduce. I loved Zootopia 1. I think it's funny, tightly written, so well designed, the production is great, and at the center of all of it, you have this awesome duo of Judy and Nick. They are so charming and well written, but also so well integrated into the plot in both obvious but also subtle ways that make for a compelling message on the dangers of stereotyping in society. So, what's wrong with Zootopia 2? Well, in my opinion, Zootopia 2 emphasizes the weaknesses of the previous movie. So what's the worst part about Zootopia 1? Well, probably the twist villain, Assistant Mayor Bellwether, who was kinda just thrown together to be some sort of great ringmaster of all the conflict. And as soon as they figure this out, she's defeated, like 5 minutes later. And as much as I love the movie's fast, chaotic pace, that's probably the source of why there isn't as well developed of an antagonist, because we're just busy plot-wise in so many other areas. So how does this affect Zootopia 2? Well, they kinda try to sorta change it up, but they kind of end up in the same trap. The Lynxleys are the new villains, this rich, powerful family of lynxes that corrupts politicians, bribes them, and wants all the land of Zootopia to themselves. I'll start off spoiler-free. So this movie starts right after the events of Zootopia 1. Judy and Nick are cop buddies, they're saving the day, yada yada. And the whole premise of this movie is that Zootopia is entirely made up of mammals. No other animal types. There's no birds, fish, reptiles, none of that. Except Judy discovers that a snake is on the loose and is heading for the Lynxley's mansion. Gary, is the snake, steals some sort of important book from the Lynxleys, and this kicks off the plot as Judy and Nick have to figure out why this snake is stealing from them and where the other reptiles in Zootopia are hiding. Gary, the snake you see in all the advertising, is therefore at the center of the plot, and the story is uncovering why he's on the run and why the Lynxleys want him dead. What's wrong with this setup? Well, not joking here. I think Gary gets like maybe 20 minutes of screen time. He is at the center of the plot, and yet he just has no time at all to have a personality other than like, oh, he's a goofy guy or something. Gary is running away from Judy and Nick for half of the movie, and it just feels like a waste of his character because, he's off screen. The movie spends a great amount of time focusing on new conflicts between Judy and Nick. Personality things, like how Nick's laid-back, arrogant personality rubs police officers the wrong way, or how Judy's ambition can lead her into careless danger. It's all very interesting, but it's like a side plot. It takes away from the main plot, which it shouldn't. In Zootopia 1, the Judy-Nick conflict is at the center of the story because they represent a conflict between predator and prey. Their dynamic is essential to the story. It's the reason that they have conflict, that Nick is defensive, that Judy is scared of him, because their relationship themes link with the greater story of resolving predator versus prey. In Zootopia 2, their conflict is like a side plot. This whole conflict of running around trying to save the reptiles is not connected back to them. And it should be with Gary. At some point, right, it is established that Nick is grossed out by reptiles. He's afraid of them. This should have been a bigger plot point. Time should have been dedicated to Nick, overcoming his biases against reptiles, to talking to them, to understanding that they're animals just like him. This whole plot is centered around how reptiles are marginalized in Zootopia, how they're sent underground, literally. They have land stripped from them, and now they're trying to be exterminated by the elites. And Gary is trying to stop them, and we're fighting the Lynxleys to prevent this from happening. But there's just not enough screen time given to actual reptiles in the story, because random side characters like Nibbles end up getting so much focus. There's one scene where Judy and Nick interact with reptiles with a basilisk named Jesus, and outside of some jokes, their whole conversation is just plot and exposition. It's backstory, secret powers in the book. They don't actually have time to build a connection, to just kind of chat like normal people. The story is so focused on Judy and Nick trying to find Gary, trying to just get to him, that once they actually find him, there's just not enough time left for this whole other plot to kick off. Almost all of Gary's dialogue is exposition, backstory. Oh, my grandmother used to do this. Oh, I think we can find this here. It's just one of these character archetypes where they just feel like a plot point. There's no reason you have to have this very important character off screen. It just ruins the pace of the movie. And the reason for this is after Judy finally catches up to Gary and Paubert, now we have to actually kick off this plot about, oh, now they have to find this like lighthouse in the middle of the snow so that they can get this deed. So this plot is just so all over the place. Okay, spoilers from here on out, because now I have to talk about the twist villain, because of fucking course there's a twist villain. So this Paubert character that I neglected to mention up till now is the twist villain. Now, if you were paying attention, it doesn't really make sense why he would be helping the main characters in the first place. As you can see, he's a Lynxley. He has nothing to gain from helping them destroy his family's name. It just it doesn't really add up. So when the twist is revealed, I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, I guess. It's not like Bellwether, where I was just like, what? Okay. But the main issue is still the same. I'm not afraid of this guy. I don't care. The Lynxleys do not strike fear into me, and they follow a modern Disney trend of just not having that great of villains. Let's rewind a bit. There was a time when Disney was actually amazing at writing villains. For some films, like Sleeping Beauty, I would argue it was the only thing they were great at. Think about how many iconic figures you've got. Captain Hook, Ursula, Scar, the Queen of Hearts, Jafar, Shere Khan, the Evil Queen. Just up and down the roster, you've got characters that stole the scene when they said a single line of dialogue. And we are just so far removed from that era. Who's the last great mainline Disney villain? Mother Gothel? What was that, 15 years ago? How many twist villains, uninteresting antagonists, and just downright unthreatening evil forces have we seen since then? And I don't think Zootopia 2 breaks this streak. Now, to be fair, classic Disney villains have often been simple. They're not Zuko. I would say they're not even Darth Vader. They have very brutal, objectively obscene actions that make them evil to a comic degree. And their design, acting, and overall spectacle make them fun to hate. There's nothing complicated about Maleficent's character. I mean, that's why the Maleficent movie just feels unnecessary. There's just not much to explore there. And you end up ripping off of Wicked. So Disney's counter to this, post-Tangle, was, we're gonna have twist villains. Prince Hans, Assistant Mayor Bellwether, King Candy, the professor guy from Big Hero 6, whose name I'm not gonna bother to look up. Seriously, can one of you guys name this guy's name? Pixar also joined in with Lotso, Ernesto de Cruz, Evelyn Dever. It felt like they were all over the place in the 2010s. To varying degrees of success, usually not so much. I think I like King Candy the best just because this story is so ridiculous that they give him this crazy bug design and complicated reasoning for hating Ralph that is irrelevant. I just think he's a funny guy. But at the end of the day, these are neither of these studios' best villains because of this priority on creating a mystery rather than a hateable antagonist. And none of these movies, except maybe Zootopia, are really framed as mysteries from the start. So these twists are not built by suspense. They just kind of come out of nowhere. But it's not just Paubert being a twist villain that's the problem. After all, there's no twist when it comes to the other Lynxleys. We know they're bad from the start. No, the problem is they're just lame. They're so not interesting. They're money-hungry elites that want to expand their land, and they just play it so straight up. They're not funny. They don't have, I don't know, like a cool song or something. And their designs are just so bland. I actually think the biggest strength of Zootopia movies, outside of Judy and Nick, is the great design of everything. The environments, the colors, and the animals are so expressive. It's why they're so good at one-off jokes, because they have really dynamic designs. These are the worst designed characters in either movie. And they do this one shot with Paubert where you see his bright pupils in the dark. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of cool. It's like, ooh, that's kind of neat. And they never do it again. It was just once. Now, they are pretty violent, I guess, in intention, but you don't actually see them do any of the bad things we're told they do. I think somebody needed to die in this movie, low-key. Like, everyone has plot armor. Even if it's not a violent death, even if it's, I don't know, off-screen, there needed to be some sort of stakes. And it, again, is a consequence of the Lynxleys not having enough screen time. This movie prioritizes having 100 different side characters, from the different cops chasing Judy and Nick to the different marsh animals to Nibbles. We just don't see the Lynxleys that often. We just have to imagine their evil doings. There's this beaver character named Nibbles who accompanies Judy and Nick, and I actually think she is pretty funny, so it's hard for me to be that mad. But when you really think about it, she doesn't really have anything to do with the greater story. And all the time that she is accompanying Judy and Nick should be time that Gary is interacting with them, because he could set up the reptile story. He could set up the backstory and then also be an interesting character in his own right. What if the conflict between Judy and Nick sprouts from, Nick's biases against reptiles, from his, racism against them, and that causes the divide between Judy and Nick, as opposed to having to, kind of force the conflict between Judy and Nick by making Judy into a straw man. They only have one scene interacting with reptiles, and it's pretty good. The jokes in the reptile bar are pretty funny. There's this one scene where Nick accidentally steps on someone's tail, and the tail gets ripped off, and he's trying frantically to put the tail back on. I think it's pretty funny. There's good material here, and I just can't believe that is the only scene in which we see them interact with reptiles, when reptiles is what the whole plot is centered around. There was such a good idea for a sequel here, but there's just way too many elements and characters in this plot. It is so cluttered. So yeah, it wasn't as good as the first movie, but despite everything I said, it was still enjoyable. They fly so many jokes at you that some of them are going to hit. There was this one girl behind me in the theater that was absolutely dying at the "what does the fox say" reference, which I didn't think was that funny, but I'm glad somebody liked it more than me. The animation is just so well detailed and pretty and fun to look at. It is really one of the best looking mainline Disney films, alongside Moana and Encanto. So I'd still go see it if I were you, but I don't know. I wouldn't put my expectations super high. I still think it had a lot of greater potential than what it was. Let me know if you agree, though. That's all I got for today. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and bye!